Today's video is a lot like the kids in this class. It's boring, it doesn't go anywhere, and the people who made it should be ashamed.
Like all good science fiction movies, Cyberzone, aka DROID GUNNER, starts with an exposition dump text crawl. And you better believe that's neither the last dump nor exposition this movie makes. In the distant future of 2077, Jack Ford, the titular DROID GUNNER, depending on which version of the movie you have, slums the mean streets of Phoenix with his sleeve-holstered pistol and musical pocket watch. After an earthquake floods the West Coast, which happens 50 years prior to the film in the not-so-distant year of 7 from now, Phoenix has become the busiest sea and spaceport of the new West Coast. But when Jack is called up to the headquarters of the mysterious Bennett Corporation, he must team up with droid specialist Beth to retrieve 4 pleasure droids from Jupiter that are being smuggled to the underwater utopia New Angeles. Together, they find themselves drawn into a web of smuggling, conspiracy, and convoluted plots to get people to go to see church. So put on your duster and grab your musical pocket watch as we dive into today's assignment, Cyberzone.
Yeah.
That was powerful.
I just wet myself.
Yeah.
Now, Droid Tracker and Droid Thief are working together.
His name is Jack Ford. He's good.
When he's as good as dead.
Cyberzone.
You pitched the movie way better than the movie pitched itself.
I don't know if they ever did pitch it.
Yeah.
I feel like this movie just sprung into being like from the head of Zeus, fully formed.
Yeah, this movie is sort of like a boner. It like pops up unexpectedly and is embarrassing to those who make it and offensive to those who see it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Okay, gonna do roll. Jamie?
I am programmed to podcast.
Casey?
Present.
Greg?
I did not like this movie.
And I'm Josh, and neither did I. So that opening text crawl.
Brand new dance they call a crawl.
50 years have passed since an 8.9 magnitude earthquake devastated the west coast of the former United States. California, Oregon, and Washington were all lost to the waters of the Pacific. Phoenix, Arizona has become the busiest sea and spaceport of the new West Coast. But Phoenix is a city divided. The wealthy live and work in high-rise towers and dome suburbs, free of crime and free of pollution, for those who can afford it. The rest of the people live on the surface, in alleys and tenements choked with smog and crime, hoping for a chance, hoping for a future.
Did anybody else find it incredibly hard to read?
It was so fast. It happened
I don't know if I'm just weirdly used to the incredibly slow, angled away from the camera Star Wars version, but actually having it vertical, and it was super fast too, but having it vertical was very disorienting.
It felt like an FBI warning, I'm going to be honest.
Totally.
I liked it because this is the text crawl from every post 1985 science fiction movie. It like they're like, yeah, okay, the world has been destroyed. Cool, there's no more West Coast. All right, it's Phoenix. Boom, let's go.
Also, you get the exposition no less than 3 more times.
Yes, which I feel like was definitely an artistic decision that was never decided, where the director was like, okay, we're just going to have you restate everything we say. We may do a title crawl. I don't know. I'll probably cut this out if I do a title crawl. And then he forgot and left both in, basically.
This is the first time that Fred Olin Ray and artistic have ever been mentioned in the same sentence.
Okay, Greg, let's not throw around insults.
Listen, I've seen a bunch of Fred Olin Ray movies, and I love them.
Right, let's not knock down our greats. You know, there's only so many tent poles left in American cinema.
And he's trying to make more tent poles, you know what I mean?
Hell yeah, Greg!
Oh!
Yes!
If immediately, the first scene, I am confused if he is a droid gunner or a PI.
It's a little bit both. Look.
I mean, what's a droid gunner? You say that like those are two very obvious things, but what's a droid gunner?
Right. It's amazing that we get a text scroll at the beginning, the sort of boilerplate, like the world has ended type thing, rather than, okay, so in the future, because cyborgs are illegal, then we have these bounty hunters called droid gunners, and it's like, that would have been really
similar
helpful.
to the way they do it in, I'll just pick any random movie, Blade Runner. A movie like Blade Runner, who knows why that movie popped in my head after watching this one, but a movie like Blade Runner,
complete coincidence.
A great sci-fi movie like that will hide its world building, will not just give you straight information, it will sort of sneak it into your brain as the story progresses. This is like, we're not getting anything from this opening crawl except rich people are rich, poor people are poor. Like that's all that you are left with at the end of this.
And Phoenix.
And we are in Phoenix.
It could have been a lower third. We could have started the movie and it just comes up, boom, Phoenix. Like smaller lower third, like busiest spaceport. Like that's all it needs. Like
Phoenix, and then in parentheses, but somehow worse. Then we learned that there's been an earthquake that changed the world completely. This is yet another movie that introduces the concept of a way more interesting movie and will doggedly refuses to show you that part of the movie.
Oh, don't look over there. You don't want that. Yeah. You don't want that
Wait,
movie.
what'd you say about earthquake that destroyed the West Coast?
Nothing. They were like, oh no, they're asking too many questions. Put more tits on screen. Get the tits out.
If there is one thing this movie does really well, it is whenever my brain started to question the plot or where we were going, it presented me with tits. Then all of my questions seemed to disappear.
All forgiven. Sex position at its finest.
It's funny because it in all of its advertising materials, there is nothing inherently sexy about a movie called Cyberzone nor Droid Gunner. That the VHS tape cover is just Mark Singer with a gun that he never has in the movie, and usually they want to push the sexy stuff on the tape cover. They want people to rent that fat material.
Beth isn't even on the cover.
Why would Beth be on the cover? Why would this movie care about Beth enough to put her on the cover?
Same reason she's in the movie, for needless sex appeal.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, Greg, you sent us in the right direction for the beginning, which is Cyberzone, or for plot purposes, Droid Gunner, or for probably tax avoidance purposes, Phoenix 2, stars the Beastmaster himself, Mark Singer, as Jack Ford, a droid gunner.
AKA Harrison Ford.
AKA Han, how low can you solo?
That's so funny. I never made the connection.
We just really want to hammer home that this is the movie we made. Also, Chuba. Come on
Lest
now.
we forget.
Hey, I loved Chuba.
I did love Chuba. I feel like the solo reference was more a reference to the lives of most people who will rent and watch this movie. Probably largely solo. But yeah, so Mark Singer is just tasked with finding people and killing droids, which have been made illegal in this world. They're used in the off-world colonies, but have been made illegal on Earth.
Huh, that sounds familiar.
Yep.
I mean, really, what's great is that this movie starts out with Jack Ford being beaten up by a cyborg droid.
I don't think you heard me, pal. I just asked you if you'd seen this woman. I'm gonna take that as a no.
And then he takes out his sleeve-released Derringer, which makes the sound of a .357 Magnum when he shoots it. And he blows away this droid's mouth.
Jaw.
having the like one really cool, probably like effect in the whole movie right in the first minute.
He's looking for a woman who I thought was going to be a bigger plot point.
Oh no.
But wasn't.
And then we immediately get boobs. And I was like,
not immediately.
1 minute in.
Not immediately. You are forgetting
You're
my
skipping an
favorite
important
scene. When he passes a homeless child
Little
in
urchin.
the alleyway, a little urchin, street urchin. He asks if she's cold, and instead of giving her his giant fucking overcoat, he does a magic trick where he turns his pocket watch into a coin.
Hi, sweetheart. You cold?
Well, that is his save the cat moment. That is his the only thing that endears us, the audience, to Jack Ford.
Because that scene could have gone a lot differently if he wasn't the hero. Like, because I was on edge that whole scene. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. Yes.
Oh, when
yes.
he's talking to the little girl in the alley.
Yes.
Yeah.
What a strange man talking to a street urchin little girl? What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, there was nothing about that made me feel at ease.
I also felt myself gripping my couch and being like, "Let's keep it funny, Jack. Come on, let's keep this."
So back to the strip club
of the future.
The amount of times we're going to say back to the strip club.
This can be cut
podcast.
in anywhere. Yeah, this is the major set.
Who else's favorite character was the bartender pirate?
Oh, bartender pirate was great. He doesn't serve Jack's kind around here. What's his kind? Droid gunner.
Where have I heard a bartender say, "We don't serve their kind around here" in a sci-fi movie? Oh, it's killing me.
What's interesting is...
Interesting, you say?
Interesting. Is, again, in this world where droids are illegal, the bartender doesn't want to serve droid gunners.
They're a harsh reminder of what is out there in the world. Like, if there are droid gunners, that means that they're still droids, and he'd rather pretend that neither exist.
Or does it further the sort of class divide where droids, which are still available to the ultra elite, made unavailable to... the chaff, the great beast of society, all us normal people. So, the normal people resent droid gunners because they are a mechanism of the elite to, droids haven't gone away. They've only gone away for...
Kind of like he's selling out almost. Like, he's different from the rest of the normal surface people because he's serving the upper class, but he still lives on the surface.
Exactly.
Damn, that's actually kind of interesting. Be like a cop walking into, I don't know.
Anywhere.
Anything.
Star Wars! Josh, the movie you were thinking is Star Wars.
Oh! Star Wars.
Thank you.
Wait, no. In Star Wars, they don't serve droids. It's different. It's the opposite.
Am I the only one who, when we cut into the strip club and we saw the cat lady stripper vampire and then our pirate bartender, I was like, is it Halloween also? And then it wasn't. That it was sort of revealed that is just the guy always dresses like a pirate.
I was hoping at one point, after giving Jack Ford a hard time, we don't serve your kind, I'm not giving you any information, droid gunner. Also, this Friday, I'm in a production of Pirates of Penzance. If you could please sort of spread these flyers around. I am the very model of a modern droid gunner.
Keep going.
Jamie, nobody could sing that much of Pirates of Penzance.
He was a Phoenix man. Oh. Something duty, something about duty, I don't know.
So we cut from pirate bartender.
Oh, wait, before we go, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that we don't, meet her yet, but we see and get, a quick back and forth with the mutant stripper.
Yes.
Yes.
The Catwoman is, in fact, a mutant, which we learn 40 minutes later.
The lowest bar for this is the future. This is different. We only have 6 extras and we're gonna...
And I don't want to breeze by her because she was honestly the one character in the movie that I was truly endeared to. She carried herself with a sort of confidence within the world that made the world seem more rounded.
Yep.
She is, yes, a sex worker, as seemingly every female goddamn character in this movie has to be by some law, but
The law of the future.
Men shoot things, women have tits. Man, what else are you going to do with them?
Right.
This is the future.
And she was a mutant, which in this world, being the mutations that we see, is having pointed ears, having like a cat-like nose, having fangs, and not having breast implants. I think that's one of her mutations as well.
What a mutant!
Clearly, silicone survives the post-apocalypse.
One of the few industries that thrives. This is when we get our exposition.
About New Angeles.
The underwater city that is looking for workers.
I'm Charles Humberstone, mayor and owner of New Angeles. New Angeles is a smoke-free, drug-free, alcohol-free, underwater agricultural community located 400 miles off the coast of Phoenix.
I mean, it's pretty much just like going to Brigham Young University. 4 years of no drinking and no smoking.
But I don't think it's explained here that the mayor of New Angeles is like a super conservative Christian-esque zealot, right? Like we don't learn that for another 20 minutes or so. So we're just like supposed to like keep these details in the back of our heads until.
I mean, details is an interesting word considering this movie paints exclusively with broad strokes.
Like, they don't tell us what New Angeles does.
No, from the clues we get, most of the population of New Angeles is pipes.
Yeah,
they have a thriving pipe economy.
Yeah, the end of that scene, it was one of the moments where I did sort of find myself frustrated with like the fun movie this could have been when the pirate bartender, besides being dressed as like the Dread Pirate Roberts, also is missing one eye.
Yes, what is the story? Give me a story.
Jack Ford has a pocket watch, which is very important to him, and he says, "Do you want to play for it?" And he puts down a six-sided dice, and Jack Ford sort of sneers at him and drops the dice into a shot glass and starts to walk away. And then the pirate bartender shoots, like swallows the dice, and then says to Jack Ford,
"I'll keep my eye out for you."
And I was like, is this movie gonna be good? At that point I was like, this movie might actually end up being great. Like, there's
the quips of Jack Ford land with such thuds.
I totally disagree.
What?
I found this movie actually to be, in parts, what was almost frustrating was like, I found the dialogue to be like, yes, like obviously pulpy, but fun.
To be honest, there are certain script eloquencies that I appreciated, but so much of the performances had no thunder, but they're all dead behind the eyes while delivering what is supposed to be this sort of like His Gal Friday, like crackling 40s noir dialogue.
Do I pass inspection?
You'll do.
I got a message. Something about a job.
Yes. You know the surface world? I'm told it's your element.
It's where the real people live.
Well, it's also like a movie that is chock-filled with character actors, which is amazing if you give them characters.
Right.
Like, I love Matthias Hughes, who plays Hawk, but he has nothing to do. He just stands there so much of the time. And Mark Singer is, like, really trying to, like, make this hit. He's
trying to make an iconic smuggler character.
Yeah, and it is. And he is far too serious for it.
Yep. So we then cut to clearly repurposed spaceship footage from, I'm assuming, some other movie or television series, because there's no way they made it for this movie, right? Like, this is...
The space footage is taken from 1980's Battle Beyond the Stars.
Thank you. I knew it. I did not want to look it up, but I knew it.
This footage was also used in the following movies. Yes. Space Raiders, Star Slammer, The Escape, Not of This Earth, the remake, Andy Colby's Incredible Adventure, Dead Space, Vampirella, Star Quest 2, and Space Portal. Oh, wait, and also Ultra Warrior.
I genuinely liked that space footage, so I'm going to have to check out all these movies.
I own all of them.
That space footage is utilized to introduce us to Hawk.
Hercules.
Yeah.
Is it Hawk or Hawks?
It's Hawks, I think.
It's Hawks plural, I believe.
Hawks?
Yeah.
I think so.
I believe it is Hawks plural. He has multiple hawks shoved into a beefy blonde body.
And he wears leathers like nobody's business.
And his ass looks great.
Yeah. He sort of, Hawks to me looks like one of the members of Nelson is hiding Arnold Schwarzenegger in his body. Hawks takes the 4 pleasure droids off of this Jupiter colony.
Droids from colonies. That also sounds familiar. Drive me crazy.
I don't know what you mean.
I'm interested in why they picked Jupiter, considering it is the gas planet.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Well, and also, we know that women are from Venus, Greg.
He steals them from this Jupiter colony, where they are busy doing their life's work of rubbing their own boobs.
Important work.
Oh, my God.
Oh, the way he takes them away. Can we quickly acknowledge the wonderful bit?
Could I please have your attention?
I'll do anything you desire, and I'm designed to please you.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait, down. I get sexual pleasures by having women follow me single file down the hallway.
So yeah, that moment, what a wasted opportunity. I was so ready for, like, if this movie was just a little bit more clever and maybe a little less misogynistic, like, later you could use the pleasure droids to, like, fight off people or something. You could, like, if they follow orders...
It's too much agency, my man. Too much agency. This guy's commitment to his professionalism is, like, applaudable. I'm just gonna say. He could not care less about these pleasure droids. He just wants to get the job done. Meanwhile, they've all been given the same direction from the director of, like, never stop swaying and, like, moving sexy.
They gyrate the entire ride back to Earth.
Consistently gyrating.
Right. Mr. Olin Ray, how should I be playing this moment?
Writhing, baby. Writhing.
Yeah, think about it like every time your breasts aren't on display, you're in physical pain.
What a way to make a living, right?
Boing.
Which is a line. That is what we cut out of from this scene.
It's a living.
One of them goes missing, and I was convinced until the final moment that was because they could not get her back for a second shoot.
Absolutely.
You're probably right. The fact that they lost a droid and there's no explanation for how this happened. So I thought, like, oh, actually Hawks does love one of the pleasure droids and he's held on to them secretly and he wants to rescue her and that's why he needs to team up with Jack to, like, basically get clear with his love. No, that's not a plot point. Then I went a little further and I was like, oh my God, what if Beth is the 4th missing droid? Not realizing who she is until it's revealed, but she wasn't. Beth is a human.
A sexy librarian
human.
College educated.
I just jumped to so many, like, better plot points besides they could not get this 4th actress back for the days that they needed her.
I've watched so many of these movies that, like, at this point, like, the idea of having a coherent A plot, let alone a B or C plot, is so out of the question in my mind that, like, every so often a movie I'm like, no, there's no way that they'll pull out something like that because this movie's too stupid. And then they do, and I'm like, wow, they wrote this. Like, good job, guys.
Well, so just to present it, at, like, halfway through this movie, Hawks delivers 3 of the pleasure droids dressed as nuns to New Angeles. The last scene we've seen, he clearly has all 4 pleasure droids on his ship. And then they're just showing 3 of them now dressed as nuns. And
Where did the last one go?
They take so long to reference that there are only 3 that my brain, it felt like it was overheating. Like, I felt steam coming out of my ears. We're like, where's the 4th? Why aren't they referencing that there are only 3? And
did they stop anywhere? I feel like he didn't stop anywhere. Like, it was Jupiter to New Angeles. How do you lose a pleasure droid on your ship?
I also, again, like, this movie it was like a walk through the desert. It was like a walk through Phoenix, where I thirsted. I wanted more than the movie was giving me, because when there were only 3 pleasure droids, Jamie, like you, I was like, is Hawk holding on to one as like insurance? Also, like you said, Greg, did one of these women like, I want to be an actor, fuck this, I'm not gonna be in this stupid movie anymore? So I just I thirsted for all these things, when really I think the answer is, it was the laziest answer to a screenwriting problem, which is, how can we get Hawks and Ford to team up and go back to New Angeles?
Yeah.
It's one of them got away, so they need to go back.
But he's so shocked that they're not paying him the full amount, when it's you delivered 3/4 of the package.
Yeah.
Oh, man. You didn't even do your job.
Right.
It's interesting you say package.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah, he has lost, what we are told constantly, he has lost $1 million worth of merchandise.
That's not nothing.
That's not nothing. There's moments where you're on the villain side, and I was on Humberstone's side in that moment. It's you have lost me $1 million through just your chunky German laziness. Also, since we're here, I do want to jump back.
Where are we? I have to ask, where are we?
We basically are doing the Hawk storyline all at once, real fast.
Beyond everything that was frustrating about the scene, which most frustrated me is this leaned back to the scene when Jack and Beth talk to our homeless friends who are cooking a mutant on the barrel. Jack asked the homeless guy, have you seen any beautiful women? They wouldn't be mutants.
Well, all we got left now is mutants. But a couple of pretty good ones, though.
Yeah? Where would that be?
Well, them nuns they got over there at the soup kitchen they pretty fine looking, and they're friendly, you know what I mean?
Nuns?
Yeah, well, they pretty hot looking. There's a couple of habits I'd like to get under.
And then it's revealed in that scene.
I forgot this.
Then it was revealed in that scene. That's where they were. They
what were they doing in a soup kitchen?
Wow.
Hawks has been hiding the pleasure bots as nuns at a soup kitchen, who I assume have just been fucking the shit out of the vagrant population of Phoenix. Which thank God they needed a bone thrown at them. Oh, I get it. I understand that in most noirs, the answer to the mystery is seeded at the beginning of the movie, and we, the audience, and also the protagonist, just don't have enough information to put the pieces together. But that's not quite what happens here. It's the homeless guy literally says, yeah, there are 4 beautiful nuns at this soup kitchen, and Jack Ford thinks, well, I better check out Chuba's in the whorehouse then. All right, so we're all over the place.
We still actually haven't met Beth, so we gotta backtrack a little bit. Real fast, we cut to Jack in bed, and he's having flashbacks, and they are baffling flashbacks. They are quick cuts. 75% of them are just shots from the previous 3 scenes in the movie that I don't know why they would be included in his nightmares. And then there are little nuggets of a woman calling for help and him being useless. And we never actually learn the full story of these flashbacks, but our hero is a tortured soul.
Tortured by something.
Well, I think, Jamie, that less inventive screenwriters have sort of conditioned us to think that all dreams in movies should have a purpose. I found this dream very true to life, which it was just nonsense.
This is the most dreamlike dream in any movie.
Total nonsense, meant nothing, gives you no information. He wakes up from this dream and he gets a call asking him to come on up to the Bennett Corporation. On the rich side of town.
And we learn that the 4 pleasure droids stolen from Jupiter belong to, I forget his name. Damn it. The head of the Bennett Corporation. I'm assuming it's Bennett.
Is it Mr. Bennett?
What was his name?
Mr. Reginald, I believe?
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Reginald.
Why not?
I don't know who that actor who played Mr. Reginald was, but he, to me, came off as a sort of Edward James Olmos.
Yes.
He had a vibe of a Robert Gould. Or
I like these. Keep going.
He was kind of a powerless Booth. Not bad, right? So Mr. Reginald of the Bennett Corporation
Mr.
Reginald sends with him Beth.
So she's a college-educated droid expert.
She's never been to the surface, but she's seen it on National Geographic.
She's cyber-trained in judo and karate with thousands of hours on the simulator.
Look, you don't have to like me, Jack Ford, but you need me. I can shut down a droid. I'm cyber-trained in judo and karate. I've got over 100 hours on the simulators.
Well, that's great. We run into any simulated killers, you can take over.
This movie makes the, to me, infuriating decision, which still gets made. It's not just kept in the bad 80s movies of the world. It's essentially the character that, like, Zoe Saldana has played for, like, the past 10 years, which is, hey, here's a female character. All of her exposition will let you know how she is, like, physically and technically more prepared for this mission than
But she doesn't have street smarts, Casey.
Right, exactly. But it's like what she doesn't have is a pair of fucking balls, baby. That's what you need to make it in this world.
Their chemistry is non-existent.
Crackling. Positively crackling. I will say, what did they put in this bot oil?
That everyone
So
can
stinky.
smell.
Yeah. So stinky. So many characters comment on how much Jack Ford stinks. Because this movie doesn't progress so much as it, like, circles the drain. We, like, return to these locations over and over again. It's like Jack's apartment, alleyway, Bennett Corporation, strip club. Jack's apartment, alleyway, Bennett Corporation, strip club.
This whole movie is like, they're like, okay, we'll call it Droid Gunner, really get them in the seats. This movie spends as much time talking about the possibility of litigation as it does shooting droids.
Right.
Oh my God.
He's really more a droid finder and, like, a shitty one. He's very bad at droid finding.
No,
He's not good at his job.
His droid detector is the most malfunctioning piece of equipment I have ever seen. He has to get within like 3 inches of them. At that point, just look at the back of their necks to see if they have like an AC unit plug or something.
Or talk to them, because all they can do is speak monosyllabically about how they want to pleasure you. Like,
Let me slip out of my gown, and you can touch me anywhere.
Hawks, how do I get them off?
Jack, that's what they do. They're like leeches.
Ma'am, please stop rubbing yourself over me.
I need to find out whether this woman's a droid. I need to look for her input slot. I'll show you my input slot. I can't tell. I don't know. At like 25 minutes in, we meet Chuba, this boss of crime.
some may call him a crime boss.
Yep.
Right. I just want to say that I didn't have a lot of funny thoughts during the Chuba scene. I mostly found myself like very tired.
I was gonna say Chuba, which sounds like a brass instrument played by somebody with a horrible accent. It's like, I play the Chuba.
I play the trombone.
Chuba sounds like a candy in an impoverished country that can't get real candy.
Oh, no.
Well, we don't have any Mr. Good bars, but we have lots of Chuba.
Okay.
So Chuba is a crime boss who sits in the dark, watches a topless woman who is chained to him dance.
Where have I seen that before?
No idea.
Large guy, rich, with lots of cronies around, and then a smuggler comes back to try to get his bounty, and then he decides to kill the bounty hunter. Nah.
Got nothing.
I like how Chuba looks like the mystery man from Lost Highway hanging out with Nathan Lane.
Yeah, and then Chuba asks if Beth is for sale, and we get the immortal line,
No, she's not for sale right now.
at any moment he could sell her to anyone.
To anyone, because
he
that's
is-
the economy in Phoenix is credits, cash, women.
Yeah.
Which transitions us to this whorehouse that specializes in non-mutant women. It also sets up, you know how in Die Hard you have the whole, like, take your shoes off, and it leads to the great plotting, wardrobe-wise, of why he's running around barefoot and shooting the glass. This scene was that, but for getting Beth to dress sexy. Like, there was no reason for this, like, for Beth to run interference. It's like, they didn't need Beth to run interference. Like, he just had to pose as a customer and go inside, and, like, then he started running around. He literally, like, does this to, like, punk Beth. Like, potential sexual assault is so funny.
I want to say, I don't want to make the mistake that I am at all agreeing with the sort of, like, gender dynamics of this movie. Far from it. I thought that the boss or, like, head of personnel or, like, HR guy at the whorehouse was, like, fairly straightforward. Like, yes, she's being put in this uncomfortable position by Jack Ford.
Right.
Like, for anyone else who is genuinely looking for employment as a sex worker at this place, they're pretty, like, the entrance interview is like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, a lot of people aren't ready for, like, what this job entails. And
yeah,
like,
so it seems like a safe, nurturing environment until it ends with, all right, let me test you out.
Right, but look, if you're going to go get a job at a burger place, they're not going to let you have the job till they see you flip a couple of burgers. Like, they need to know you're...
It's exactly like that.
When you have given in to the idea that this is sex work, then sex is work.
I like the way he put it, where he said, let's get you into uniform and I'll administer a little pre-employment test. And my first thought was, yeah, it sure is little.
But also, it was just, like, the grossest way to put that. Like,
this movie is great at taking the grossest way to put pretty much everything.
Ugh.
The amount of times later that they say advanced oral function made my skin crawl.
Right. So many bad double entendres that by the time they make a joke out of "you're cleared for entry," I was like, it's too late, movie.
you can't win me back.
Yeah, exactly. You've done too much damage.
I mean, there was like a kernel of something good when before they go into the whorehouse, and Jack says, ask if they have any positions. Any openings. You know what I mean. Like, it's like, that is like, if delivered well, that's like, okay, yeah. That's
but it was like so just like straight and narrow. Like, you realize but halfway through the second joke that he's saying jokes.
Right. No, the positions and opening gags was like absolutely just a screenwriter giggling to themselves. Himself. What am I doing? Trying to...
So, smash cut to a softcore porno. Where Jack interrupts and scans the woman with his incredibly not good droid detector. Droid detector.
It goes on for so long.
Yeah. It was very uncomfortable.
This was where the movie is firing at the cylinders that the movie is trying to fire on, which is the plot is totally coming off the rails, and I was like, boobs. We present you with boobs.
Boobs are like the center. Like, they recenter you in this movie.
It's somehow this movie, if it was in one rhythm, it knew the moments to present gratuitous nudity to, like, inert any
distraction.
Right, exactly. You just see this, like, extended sex scene with these two people, and I wrote jokingly in my notes, like, there is a 0% chance that these two people have anything to do with the plot. And then
but you were wrong.
Oh, but I was wrong.
Oh, God, Schreier.
Jack enters searching for the droid.
Hi, guys. Don't get up. Sorry, I thought you might be an android.
You know something? Your husband's been looking for you.
Oh, the first woman that I was looking for at the beginning of the movie. Well, that's tied up neat and tidy with a bow. Like,
was here the whole time.
Hey, right under his nose.
That's resolved.
I was actually delighted because I thought that thread would go nowhere. And I was very disappointed.
I thought that thread had to do with, like, the woman he couldn't protect, and it clearly wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought also.
So Beth meets Jack outside, in her new outfit.
Oy.
Yeah, we've lost bookish Beth.
She's let her hair down against her will.
She's surface Beth now.
Yeah, she's down in the dirt and the grime like the rest of us.
Yep.
So Chuba has dispatched his goons to take out Jack by the orders of Humberstone, the leader of New Angeles, who, shock, awe, oh my god, gasps from the audience, turns out to actually be the villain of the story. Can you believe it? Oh, wait, he was virtuous. Wait a minute.
Conservative Christians are never the bad guys in history.
Nice. Yeah, and then they're attacked by Chuba's guards
Goons.
or cronies.
And Beth gets to show off her cyber training. Not only is she sexy Beth, she is the Beth that was promised.
Yeah, she totally dispatches the bad guy in like she kicks ass. Like it is that moment where she fits the mold of so many female co-stars in action and sci-fi movies to come, which is like, why is this not the lead of the movie? Like, she's so much more capable to handle this problem than Jack Ford.
A bag of grain is more capable than Jack Ford, I would argue.
Humberstone is
Humberstone.
He and his toady Walsh, who is, as the kids say, very extra. Because Chuba and his two aged goons have failed.
I sent my best and only men.
A general manager of a Best Buy, and Egg Shen from Big Trouble in Little China to go take out Jack Ford.
Yeah, I do like that it's like in the future bounty hunting and like crime is like not a young man's game.
So the villains dispatch the assassin droid.
Where have I seen this before? A very large Eastern European man as
Square
a robotic square who's going to eliminate.
Josh, you're thinking of the sort of main villain from that movie Eliminator and Eliminator 2 Decision Time.
I think my highlights with Assassin Droid is the fact that they go back to the strip club, of course, because it's one of 5 sets that they have to try and ask more questions. But our introduction to Assassin Droid in the context of Jack and Beth is he claps Jack's shoulder and goes, "Is this your hooker?" Which I could only think of was like, "It's not a tumor." That's all I could think. Like, it's not a hooker. She's not a hooker.
I need your demeaning clothes and your motorcycle.
There's a fist fight between Jack and Assassin Droid, and Beth takes a very long time searching for the thing in her purse that can shut a droid down, as promised that she could do.
Her sonic screwdriver?
Her sonic screwdriver. That's all it was.
Yeah. She's not ready. She's not ready for the. She's still a upper class. She's not ready for the sort of violence and high octane danger that comes with the surface world.
But with some assists from Cat Stripper, we best the Assassin Droid in a way that, again, made him seem kind of not like a threat at all. So
yeah, right, almost like it shouldn't have been in the movie.
Yeah. But in hacking the mainframe of Assassin Droid, everything was set to auto wipe, but she's able to discern 3 things. 1, the nuns must be protected. Huh. Interesting.
If only
2,
someone earlier in the movie had told us anything about nuns.
Maybe. 2, terminate Jack Ford. And 3, an airstrike is automatically activated. Suddenly there's a sound of choppers above, and I thought this was going to end with a plane blowing up this smuggler's bar.
Oh, I did too. I thought there were missiles incoming to this bar, but no, not exactly that. Like, just a guy in a helicopter with a handgun.
As soon as I saw the helicopter and they were shooting at it, I immediately wrote down, helicopter will explode, and my pen hadn't left the page and it explodes on screen. And I was just like, well, fair, thank you.
Right, a single shot from Jack Ford's gun blew up that helicopter, and the pilot's last thought was, why did I have to bring my collection of matchboxes and gasoline?
I do appreciate a movie that posits the idea that one lone helicopter is an airstrike.
Oh my God, Jack, you're bleeding.
I don't have time to bleed.
Oh.
It was at this point that I just wrote, is everyone on Quaaludes?
No, I genuinely did think that when he says, I don't have time to bleed, and then he, like, passes out, that was pretty funny. In the context of, like, knowing that line is stolen from Predator. As, like, it was, like, a cool line in Predator for Jesse the Body Ventura to say, and then this movie steals that line, but because he's bleeding, he, like, gets woozy and passes out. I thought that was actually pretty
But before
funny.
he passes out, he says we need to go to his place because he has a Band-Aid there. This guy is too cool for school.
They have to put a hat on a hat. They can't have just the line.
Yep.
There's so many good, that is, yeah, I ain't got time to bleed, then he passes out. Let's go to my apartment. I have a Band-Aid there. Like, this is where the writer really came to play for this scene. Like,
actually, that was
No. The best line is right after that. There's a bottle of local anesthetic on the counter. Cut to Jack Daniels on the counter, and I'm like, all right, movie. That was good.
That might have been the funniest scene in the movie.
I will say though, with that, while I appreciated that, then he goes on to pour the Jack Daniels onto his wound, which is not anesthetic. That hurts a lot. That does the opposite of what anesthetic does.
Do you think he meant antiseptic?
Probably.
No.
Well, no, and then he drinks it, and that's what I think supposed to be the point. Really, the move is you drink it and then you pour it. You don't pour it so that it hurts and then you drink to like feel better. That's not how that works. And then he does not sterilize the pliers, the huge pliers that he just sticks into his skin to rip out this slug.
also, he does the hilarious thing that whenever any, like, cool, tough person in a movie has to swig a bunch of whiskey as, like, their one means of anesthesia when they're doing, like, they gotta pull a bullet out or something, they don't wait for, like, them to get drunk. Like, he like, drinks a whole bottle of whiskey and then immediately starts digging into his shoulder with pliers. Like, none of his senses are dulled. He is in just as much pain, except he has, like, a stinging nose and throat.
He doesn't have time to bleed, Casey.
Yeah.
He made that very clear.
Because then we're back to Jack and Beth and the anesthetic.
And their sex scene?
No,
this is a love scene.
Fucking God. I loved this moment so much.
What lead up to this was there possibly?
Yeah, they have had zero, like, chemistry. If anything, he has only endangered her. He has only put her in dangerous situations.
He has threatened to, like, sell her 4 times since meeting her 6 hours ago.
Yeah.
Like,
he has not, endangered her is even too strong. He's commodified her.
Yes,
That's all he's
yes.
done in this. She's looking at his watch. You know the move. You know, you, like, sometimes boys, you shot in the shoulder and she's looking at, like, a picture of your old boo.
you miss her, don't you?
And he's like, every day, I'm pretty sad about it. I don't think I should be alone right now. Like, he shows even, like, the mildest vulnerability. And then they start to kiss. And then he, like, takes her top off. And immediately loses his boner. Like, in my mind, the only explanation is, like, Beth's boobs are so toe up. Like, there's something wrong with them, because he takes her
There's
top
no
off.
silicone.
Oh!
Yeah.
It's not like the other surface girls.
Right, and... Yeah, they are natural, which in Phoenix is disgusting. Because he is like, the minute he sees her topless, he's like, never mind about all this. Let's get back to business. So this mystery is pretty crazy, huh? Oh, I got so much juice out of that moment. Like, this movie had, like, sort of lost me, and I got so much juice out of, like, this ham-fisted love scene that ends... like all of us guys, sometimes you're, like, really hot and then, like, the girl gets naked and you're like, oh, you know what? Never mind. You know how most guys do that?
Oh, yeah. You know how it is.
Hey, you hungry? You want to go get a Reuben?
Right.
at Humberstone, when he goes to pick up his payment, and he's delivered 3 droids, and they go through the negotiation process where he's trying to, get more than half the money because he gave more than half of the droids. Honestly, like, one of the best lines of the movie is here when he's like, you'll take 24,000, and then Walsh puts the gun to his head, and he says,
You can take your payment in cash or in lead.
And I was like, whoa!
Yes!
Yeah.
Yes! Best line.
I was like, all right. And that's really, like, what endeared me to Humberstone. Like, he's, like, the worst creep, but he is also the only one in the movie really, like, going for it. Or at least is the only one who can seemingly deliver the meaty lines, because Ford has a ton of meaty lines that he just sort of, like, bumbles through. Yet Humberstone has like 3 or 4, and then he's just like looking at his fish tank, which is just a window with pieces of Mylar behind it.
Yeah, we slowly over time learn the very simple plan of Humberstone, which is to reintroduce vice into this viceless place.
The workers had no work. There was nothing for them to look forward to when they came home. And church attendance dropped off. You don't need confessionals when there's no sin to confess.
Deep.
Just
open a bar, bro.
Right. And I was left to wonder whether 4 sex bots would be enough to corrupt a whole city. But
then you're reminded that there's only 7 people in this whole movie.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The most important things that happen next are...
We go back to the strip club.
We go back to the strip club, where we have a team up.
Yeah.
Thank God for a goddamn team up.
The most anticipated team up in cinematic history.
Where Hawk and Ford meet each other because Hawk has lost one of the pleasure droids.
When
Ford offers him a cut of the money he's going to get from Mr. Reginald to steal back the 3 pleasure droids from Humberstone, using... once again, our baby girl Beth to pose as one of the pleasure droids to trick Humberstone and get into New Angeles.
Oh.
I so wish instead it had been revealed she was a pleasure droid who had gained sentience. Like, man.
That's too good, though.
Right. I thought she was being set up as like the Sean Young character to be like,
yes,
but they stole from Blade Runner, but like not the good stuff.
It's like they read the spark notes of Blade Runner.
Yes.
Yeah. They tell this plan to Mr. Reginald, and this is the first time he's seen Beth as like jaded by the surface world, and he says, "My God, Beth, what has he done to you?" And it's like, well, he devalued my obvious martial and scientific expertise, and twice had me pass as a prostitute. The second time, not even as a human prostitute. So. After, of course, balking at the sight of my naked body, I love him.
Oh, no. That's it. That's the plot.
That's it. There we go.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
But, like, arguably, the real world is terrible for everyone. But it is especially terrible for women.
The real world is bad for everyone, and especially bad for women, which is a quote that applies to this movie and also the real world. But like all of these sci-fi movies that were of this time, that was the extent of world building that they did is just like the rich have gotten richer, the poor have gotten poorer. There is like, it always flirts with the edges of like really interesting class-conscious politics.
Yeah.
Everyone in this world is supposedly, by the admission of the opening scroll, getting brutalized in one way or another. Where a better movie would make that the meat, that is very much the window dressing of this walk down memory lane.
Yes. If I were in Beth's shoes, I would not feel liberated by this knowledge. I would, gotta check my privilege a little bit and be like, yeah, I'm gonna go back to this place where I graduated from college and, didn't have to deal with these things and was valued as a human being. But no, that's not the message she takes away from it. Nope,
it's let's go and I'll shove a tracer where the sun don't shine.
Oh my god, gross.
Yeah.
So gross.
They're on Hawk's submarine. They say, you have the tracer on you, and she says, yeah, and it's really uncomfortable.
And my skin crawled.
Yeah, that tracer's in her vagina, right? That was the implication.
So much of this script made me physically uncomfortable.
Yes.
And then they sneak into New Angeles.
Which doesn't seem necessary because they later blow away all of their guard stock pretty easily. And you'd imagine if you had somebody who was, as they said, trained in judo and hand-to-hand combat, she would probably be a use in such a situation. Instead, they feel the need to sneak in for no discernible reason.
Yeah, again, the characterization of Beth, they have given her all of the skills necessary to succeed in every part of this mission. She is an expert at droids. She apparently can speak 7 languages, making her great for espionage, and she is like a martial artist. She should be able to run this whole mission by herself. It is insane.
Yep. James Bond could.
But instead, she is just the toy of these two lunkheads.
Right. So while Hawk brings Beth in the guise of a pleasure bot to Humberstone's office, Ford sneaks into New Angeles.
This is when we get the very, very, very uncomfortable scene between Beth and Humberstone.
Yes, because it turns out the crux of their plan, which was that Beth was going to lead them to the other droids, that plan is immediately thrown out the window because, much like any conservative politician, Charles likes to sample the merchandise.
Yeah. Which makes sense. And actually, that of course it's like a creepy scene, but it was meant to be he's like a villain and a creep. And I thought one of the best, again, like frustratingly funny and interesting choice is he is like sort of, putting the moves on this pleasure droid. Also says, I make a pretty good martini. Would you like one? She says, yes. And then he hands her the martini and says, cocktails for 2.
I prefer the Spike Jones version.
You're programmed for humor.
Which, everyone who's going to see Droid Gunner is going to love that joke that references 1930s big band music, right? Everyone's going to be rolling in the aisles.
2077!
Yeah. Everyone's rolling in the aisles with that reference. He's like putting the creepy moves on this pleasure droid who is denying his advances, and he's getting confused by that. And when he gets frustrated, he grabs her arm and realizes that she's a real human, and then
think of the diseases.
Right, is like immediately disgusted that he had kissed a real human, and I thought that was awesome. That's like a really funny, like interesting character choice for this world. And it's again, I was like, God damn it, movie! Like you were flirting with so many fun things.
Am I the only one who thought that when he was mixing up the martinis, that was him being like cunning? Like
what do you want alcohol for?
Yeah,
droid?
exactly. Yeah, I was like that would burn the inside of her circuits as they talk about a damaged pleasure droid is just a hunk of steel, of useless steel. It's like, okay, so the inside of that's probably not a digestive system would be my guess.
I would imagine though, Greg, that a major part of owning and upkeeping a pleasure droid is cleaning out the insides. So I'm sure they have a process for dealing with that.
Just when I thought this movie could get grosser.
I hate this thread.
Hawks really sent her into the lion's den without a lot of preparation, because the one character who has seen the pleasure droids and how they behave didn't just tell her, it's like, oh, you need to be like fondling everyone and everything in the room. She is like the most coquettish pleasure droid ever designed.
Well, she's also like standing still and not constantly gyrating.
Right.
So that's the first tip off that she's not a pleasure droid.
She's acting the most not like a pleasure droid you possibly could.
Yep.
Right. So Hawk is led away from the room by Hawks. Sorry.
Multiple Hawks.
Is led away from the room by Walsh. He thinks towards $24,000, but instead Walsh leads him into an alley He just loves his fucking gun so much. He just he just loves twirling his gun and like polishing his gun and like finding cool ways to hold his gun. So the fact that his gun malfunctions is genuinely very good. I liked that quite a bit.
Was it that it malfunctioned? I read that as it didn't have any bullets, and I was confused.
I think he just never loads it. Like, it's a fashion piece, and he just never loads it. And then one time he needs it, oh, shit.
Well, to me, it's like, it doesn't really matter. It's like, is it that it was not loaded? Is it that the safety was on? Is it that it misfired? It's sort of ultimately doesn't really matter because the gag is that after a whole movie of him playing with it like it's his dick, he has a moment to kill Hawk and it doesn't work, which is fun. I like
Symbolism.
that.
I also like that it's a desert eagle and he's trying to kill hawks with it.
Oh!
This movie has layers.
And then so Hawks hits Walsh and then gets away, where he meets up with Jack again. Jack and Hawks find the other 3 pleasure droids. We get the same joke again of I get pleasure out of you following me in a single file line.
We also keep getting the priority. We'll go get the droids and then we'll come back for Beth. Like, they literally, Hawks knows he dropped off Beth in a dangerous situation where she could literally be assaulted at any moment. And they're like, we'll come back for her. She's fine. And arguably, she is, as we later learn. But, like, they could not care.
But not could be assaulted at any moment. Will be assaulted in the next moment.
We're counting on it.
But they find the pleasure droids. They do the single file line trick. And again, I mourned, like, how awesome would the movie be where, like, if you can control them just with I get sexual pleasure from insert command. It could have been like, as they're trying to get away with the pleasure droids, that's when the guards like surround them and they say, pleasure droids, I get sexual pleasure from you kicking ass. And then they like, the pleasure droids pick up guns and start like blowing away the guards. That would have been awesome. That would have been so good.
Movie. That would have predicated the idea that they had more than 6 blanks and 7 extras, though.
Yeah.
Because they end up bringing they get the droids, they bring them back to the submarine, they go back to get Beth.
But they almost don't.
They almost don't. And Hawks is like, there's about 100 men out there waiting for us. And I just wrote, is there? Like, is there more than 100 men?
About 100.
There are 7 extras, I believe. And they're shown twice. There are 2 shots of people coming out of doors and shooting at them. And
so many railing kills, though.
Railing kill.
There are maybe 9. You know, you don't see them up close. They're definitely reused.
Yeah. Upon going back to rescue Beth, Hawks and Ford, like, cleanse the population of New Angeles. Like, they totally genocide that city.
But they only make it, like, 20 feet, basically, from where they do not make it very far.
Beth comes to them.
Yeah, a movie, again, this movie doesn't know what's so great about it. These 2, like, beef-headed men go back to, like, have a nonsense gunfight. Meanwhile, it is Beth in another room who saves the day.
But how does she save the day? Can anyone explain to me what she did to Charles?
We need to break this down.
She took his glow stick gun and put it in his pants.
Yeah.
And he disintegrates it.
And he vaporizes. Like all good glow stick guns, whatever you put it on, vaporizes.
Yeah.
This doesn't seem that hard to grasp, Jamie.
Yeah. He like says some line like, I'm gonna cleanse you of your sin. She just like kicks his ass, turns the gun on him, and atomizes him. Totally disintegrates this dude.
There is nothing left of Humberstone.
Absolutely
when
nothing
she's
left.
finished with
like
him.
Erased from the movie.
There was a great moment that could have happened where, like, you know, a belt buckle falls and we get like a good, you know,
or
a
crucifix hits the ground. Ding, ding, ding.
Or like a gold tooth, you know.
Yeah.
No. Instead, it's just the fade out, like plate, plate, dissolve. That's it.
Yeah, Beth kills Humberstone. Hawks and Ford kill everyone else.
Everyone.
You know, it seems we've tied up all the loose ends, but then out of the corners steps Walsh with Ford's pocket watch.
How?
Who cares?
When would this have been taken?
No
when
idea.
were they ever in a room besides this very moment?
These two characters who have never met, have no prior history. Like, well, again, it would be one thing. It would still be, like, dumb, but it'd be one thing as if he stepped out of the corner with the pocket watch looking at the picture of...
Whoever it was. Sister, girlfriend, wife, mother, I don't know.
All
Who
the
knows?
If he stepped out of the darkness with that watch and was like, I remember her, and it's revealed that Walsh was, like, the guy who killed...
Nah.
Ford's. Like, it would be lazy and tacked on, but it would make more sense than what happened, which is nothing at all. He just suddenly is holding the pocket watch. It is important to our lead character, and it plays a song. These fucking filmmakers, which is a term I use advisedly, decided to just full out steal from Sergio Leone. Just like straight up steal the last gunfight from For a Few Dollars More. Like, it's just literally what they're doing. It's just like, hey, I liked that movie. Remember that movie where there's a standoff that ends when, like, the song in a pocket watch ends? We got a pocket watch. Let's just steal from that fucking movie. It's so infuriating.
How does it feel, Italians?
Yeah.
The shoe doesn't look so good on the other foot.
Yeah, we can make bad movies with your IP, too. It's like I honestly I felt two ways about it. My first emotion was like, this is from For a Few Dollars More. This is like just clearly stolen for no reason. There's no emotional weight behind this moment. You're just stealing it, but then they're just waiting there, building tension. And then
yes, tension.
Yeah.
That's a word I would not use.
And then when it does, they start firing at each other, and it's edited to show that they each shoot like 4 or 5 shots before they hit
Anyone
each other.
hits.
And I was like, in that moment, I was like, oh, please, I hope they all miss. I hope the thing is all 3 of them miss every single shot, and then they have to just stand there awkwardly at the end and try to figure out what to do next.
Well, and then finally they get hit right in the raspberry jam package
Oh,
that they've
yeah.
been holding for the whole movie in their shirts, apparently.
Yeah, Walsh was mostly jelly donut. Like, he really bursts.
Real
when he
fruit
gets
flavor.
May I posit the reason that Fred Olin Ray took the ending for A Few Dollars More is because he used this as a pitch when he brought it to the studios to try to get a few dollars more for the movie.
Walsh is killed. Hawks is also killed in this shootout.
Hawks has his dramatic death speech, which includes, just make sure you bring back Beth, which he has literally never cared about before, including 30 seconds before this scene when he's like, no, we should just leave her, man.
Well, no, because he also says, just promise me one thing, that I get my ship.
Did he say
ship or
No, he said
shit?
share.
I thought he said share. Yeah.
He said share.
I heard shit, and I was just like, yeah, get your fucking shit, baby. Like,
No, share.
Even in death, all he cares about is money.
But for his dying line to be like, make sure I get my share is pretty... It's fun. It's like good. It's got more dramatic irony than the rest of this movie was heaving at us.
Yep.
And if there was any god in the sky, that's when Cher's "How You Believe Love" would start playing.
If only they had a few dollars more.
They can't afford that.
So Beth returns and says, "You came back for me, did they?"
Barely.
Barely.
She also said why. She did.
She did say, why?
Why? Which does, I think, highlight the crux of their relationship. which is that she apparently loves him for some reason, and he couldn't really give much of a shit about her.
No. Whatever, like, horniness towards her was keeping him going was dispelled when he saw those toe-up titties.
I mean, really, it's out of, like, guilt and this loyalty to I made a promise to someone and I couldn't keep it. And that's really his only, attraction / interest in Beth is, like, he promised to keep her safe.
No, sorry. It's even worse than that, because she says, you came back for me, why? And he says, because I made a promise to someone once upon a time. Yeah. It has nothing to do with you.
You are but a proxy.
Why did you come back to save me? Oh, this isn't about you. That's basically what you said.
So frustrating. So then they return to Bennett Corporation, where Jack gets paid, and Beth leaves with him because why not? She actually says, why not?
Because Josh and Jamie, stop me if this sounds offensive, like all women.
Stop.
We got a great epilogue. We got a happy ending. Because our hobo from earlier in the movie is searching through the trash, and who should saunter up next to him but our fourth missing pleasure droid dressed as a nun, who whispers into his ear that she's gonna fucking bone the shit out of him. And he is all for
Sweet
that.
nothings.
He says, yes, please.
And then they just walk off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Cyberzone, more like Cyberbone.
Nice.
To be fair, that makes a lot more sense than the actual title.
Yeah.
Rip off report card. Rip off report card. Rip off report card.
The Droid Gunner / Cyberzone ripoff report card is brought to you by S.C. Johnson's new film, Glade Runner. Plug it in. Plug it in. Genre stalwart Fred Olen Ray may have 3 names, but he's only got 2 things on his mind: making movies and making them cheap. He has helmed more ripoffs than maybe any other director in the past 4 decades. With over 150 titles to his name, he's the man who is responsible for the ludicrous Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, the no less insane Scream Queen Hot Tub Party, and the following movies featuring the word bikini: Bikini Drive-In, Bikini Pirates, Bikini Frankenstein, Bikini Frankenstein 2, which means that there were plot points unresolved from part 1, and The Girl from Bikini, not to mention 11 others that I refuse to mention. He is the brains behind Bad Girls from Mars, Beverly Hills Vamp, Invisible Dad, Attack of the 60-Foot Centerfold. I don't even have to write jokes. These are real movies. You can buy these. You can buy some of these from Ray. Mr. O.R., we are forever in your debt. Droid Gunner star Mark Singer is no household name, but he should be at least familiar as he was forever immortalized as Conan's biggest box office competition in theaters.
Goddamn should be a household name.
But as you can see, Mr. Universe he is not. Mr. Singer was Beastmaster, a rough-and-tumble hero befriending nature to take down evil marauders. And besides a busy TV career, he gave us the goods with Dragon Quest, The Alien Takeoff Deep Space, also made by Fred Olen Ray, and Street Corner Justice, where he plays a character simply named Mike Justus. Oh, no!
Oh, yes!
The non-Coscarelli Beastmaster sequels are glorious enough cheese for the filmography of 5 men. Thanks for taking us on so many journeys, Mark.
Yay!
No stranger to direct-to-video film, Matthias Hughes might have been one of the kings of blockbuster in his heyday. The German-bred Hughes often plays roles written for Dolph Lundgren before he turned face. Always the villain, never really the hero, he played Rhino in Fist Fighter, Khan in Talons of the Eagle, and Galleon in Star Crypt. He's played off genre favorites like Billy Blanks, Brigitte Nielsen, Don the Dragon Wilson, and Martin Kove. He might best embody the American dream, coming from the old world to arrive here only to be regarded as a villain and get kicked repeatedly by those only slightly more successful. Hats off to Mr. Hughes for wearing his title proudly.
Yay! All right, guys, so that was Cyberzone, Droid Gunner, or Phoenix 2, depending on...
Was it really called Phoenix 2? I missed that one.
In the version I watched, at least, the opening title card is Mark Singer in Phoenix 2.
I will say that makes the most sense of all three actual titles.
So, as with all movies watched here at Video High, what might end up on the final test?
Ladies, if you're in a post-apocalyptic sci-fi movie, get out. Get out. Nothing is good for you here. Run.
Well, if I've learned anything, it's that I, too, get sexual pleasures from having women follow me single file down the hallway.
I better leave Los Angeles before 2027.
I would say that, the more I think about it, the more that maybe this movie does have a few things in common with Blade Runner. No. But I would say that less than a ripoff, that this movie might actually be the third in, the Blade Runner trilogy. This could take place in the same universe. I mean, they are asking the same questions. Like, in the Blade Runner movies, it asks, if a machine can think and feel and dream, what is the difference between a man and a machine? In Droid Runner, it asks the question, if a machine can show its breasts, what's the difference between a machine and a woman?
A lot!
Well, that's for you, the audience, to decide.
Thank you so much to Philip Marlowe, our teacher, Seth Applebaum of Ghost Funk Orchestra, and Gabriella Tessitore of Scout Harris for the theme music. Justin Ferrero of the Rizzos for bed music and sound mixing, Ann Shear for the logo, and the entire Video High crew. Myself, Josh Roth, my wife, Jamie Kennedy, Greg Hansen, and Casey Regan. Next episode's movie is The Lords of Magic. Listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you next period.
When there's no sin, you don't need to go to church.
That's pretty good.
That is a delicious vintage. Hi, I'm Mike from the Up in Your Ear Podcast Network. I was just enjoying a late night snifter of brandy by the fire when I remembered I have a podcast. Yes, I know, Eddie, I'm going to tell them. It's called Does It Suck Now? It's a podcast where me and my 3 lifelong friends, Josh Sprague, Josh Solo, and my brother Dave, watch movies we loved growing up and see if they suck now. We go down the rabbit hole and try to kill our nostalgia for the films we watched from when we were toddlers to teenagers. Take a listen. Hi, I'm Mike.
I'm Josh.
I'm Dave.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Does It Suck
Now?
Now? I just have one more joke I wanted to say, which was awesome when he's getting kicked out of the dinner party. And he's like, don't you ever come back here again. And he goes,
suck my dick.
Don't you love the movie Magic, right after that, where they're like, cut to, it could be 20 years later. It could be 30 years later because Mark Singer, who knows?
The face and the chest are telling me different things.
Everybody starts out by saying, this movie sucks. However, you should totally watch it because it's awesome.
I want to be Jack Fizzle.
Jack Fizzle sounds like a fluffer.
Yeah,
Peter
Cetera?
Yeah.
Peter Cetera?
Yeah.
I'll fight for your honor. That song, whatever.
Yeah.
That song.
I am the man that will fight for your honor.
Throws it, then Burton catches it, and he throws it back. Boom! And all the Buddhas go to shit.
Mullets are fantastic in this movie.
They
Robin
are.
Hood's mullets fucking suck, and the mullets are really satisfying.
Medieval mullets or 1989 mullets?
Thank you, everybody, for listening to us decide that Major League does not suck. I
Now.
give it, or ever.
Listen to Does It Suck Now on the Up in Your Ear Podcast Network. You can find it on all the podcast platforms where podcasts can be found. Podcast. Also, if you want to keep up with the Up in Your Ears Podcast Network, go to our SoundCloud page. That's soundcloud.com/Up in Your Ear Podcast Network. Thank you for listening. Up in your ears. Podcast Network.